watch me whip. Now watch me nay nay. Okay. Now watch me whip, whip. Watch me nay nay. Why me do it? Now watch me whip. Kill it. Watch me nay nay. Okay. Now watch me whip, whip. Watch me nay nay. Can you do it? Now watch me. Watch me.
Math class.
Watch me.
Math class.
Watch me.
Math class. Learn to round in lesson 313.
Watch me.
Math class.
Watch me.
Math class.
Watch me.
Yeah. All right. Lesson 313. We're going to review some rounding. We're going to get into a new concept called safe or ordinary rounding. So when do we need to do some safe rounding to make sure we have enough as opposed to regular rounding? All right. Open your books to page 115. On 115, we introduce a visual of what rounding looks like. Rounding is still the same. We're still going to round to the nearest place value that they're asking for. But we're going to look at it. What does it mean to round? By looking at populations of cities and which number they're closest to. So look at number 1. Microville has 76 people. And it says round that one to the nearest tenth. Well, 76. When we look at the number 76, we're rounding to the nearest tens place. Okay? The 6 tells us to do what? It says to go up to 8. The 7 goes up to an 8. And we turn that 6 into a 0. And we have 80. Because when we look at the scale, 76 is probably closer to 80 than it is to 70. And that's the reason for the scale. Looking at the scale, it helps us decide, ooh, we would round to the closer one on the scale. Again, number 2, let's talk about rounding to nearest place value. 531. Rounding to the nearest hundreds place. Underline the hundreds, circle the one to the right. The 3 tells us to stay down at 500. Changing all the other numbers to zeros. 531 is closer to 500 than it is to 600. Therefore, rounding, we go to the closer of the two. When we round to the nearest 100 and we have 500, we're saying, are we going to stay 500 or 600? It's somewhere in between 500 and 600. The only two possible answers is 500 or 600. Looking back at number 1, the only possible answers are 70 or 80. Let's look at number 3, rounding to the nearest thousands place. 3,674. The 3, this is the number it's going to decide. So our possible answer, 3,674, falls somewhere in between 3,000 and 4,000. Which is it closer to? Well, that 6 that's circled tells us it's closer to 4,000. So we write down 4 and then fill the rest with zeros, 4,000. Okay. Finish 4, 5, and 6. Right now I'm rounding to the nearest number 4, rounding to the nearest 10,000s place, which means I'm going to underline the 6, rounding to the nearest 100,000s place, and then rounding to the nearest millions place. Pause your video and do that now. All right, when you round to these, the 5 tells us to go up to 70,000. Number 4. Number 5 tells us to go back down to 100,000. And number 6, the 5 tells us to go up to 4 million. All right. Again, when you're looking at these, you only have 2 possible answers based on the place value. The one that place value is in, or the next one in that place value. All right, let's move on to the bottom part of the page. Same concept, but now look at number 7. We have the number 7,581. It says write the rounded numbers that belong on the lines above and below each number. Okay, and this is what we're going to do. Then circle the correct one. These are the 2 possible answers. When you're rounding to the thousands, the 2 possible answers would be 7,000 is below and 8,000 is above. My 2 place values in the 1,000 with the 7 or the next one up the 8. Okay, which one does the 5 tell us to round to? The 5 tells us to go up to 8,000. Okay, let's do one more of those together. We round to the nearest 10,000s place. Well, that would be 10,000 on the bottom, or 11,000 on the top. Okay, the nearest 10,000s. I'm sorry, fix that. You're looking at the wrong one. Not 11,000. That would be the thousands place. That'd be 20,000. A 1 in the 10,000s place or a 2 in the 10,000s place. Which one do we go up to? Well, the number just to the right of the 1 is the 2. That says to stay down, and 10,000 is our rounded answer. Okay, you're going to round to the nearest hundreds and the nearest millions place on 9 and 10. Put your top and your bottom number in, and then circle the right answer. Pause your video and do that now. All right, so we put in our numbers for 9 and 10. We have 200 or 300, and the 9 to the right of the hundreds place tells us to go up to 300. We have 8 million or 9 million, and the 9 in the 100,000s place tells us to go up to 9 million. Right, that's the idea. When you're rounding, there's only 2 possible answers, and which one fits based on place value and the number to the right. Say to go up or stay down. Now turn the page to page 116. Now we're just going to practice rounding to the nearest tens place, rounding to the nearest thousands place, rounding to the nearest hundreds place, and rounding to the nearest 10,000s place. All right, 23. 2 possible answers for number 11. We're going to go through the first one together on each one. 23, it's either 20 or 30. And 23 stays down at 20. Let's jump over to number 17. Nearest thousands, that's 2,000. So the 2 possible answers are 2,000 or 3,000. The 3 says to stay down at 2,000. Look at number 14. Round to the nearest hundreds. That's either 200 or 300. The 9 says go up to 300. Number 20, the nearest 10,000s, that says stay at 30,000, or go up to 40,000. The 0 next to it says stay down at 30,000. Please complete 12, all the empty ones for that section. And then go ahead and try number 23 and 24 on your own. Pause your video and finish this page. Go. All right, let's check those answers now. 75 should go up to 80. 156 should go up to 160. 18. Nearest thousands place, 10,000 should go up to 11,000. 15,000, stay at 15,000. 1,610 to the 100 should stay at 1,600. 834 should stay at 800. 65,713 should go up to 70,000. And number 22, there's nothing in the 10,000s place, but we're rounding that place, and there's a 9 in the thousands place. That means round up to 10,000. All right, number 23 says Herminio has a stamp collection. He has 689 American stamps and 226 foreign stamps. But how many stamps does Herminio have in all? This is where you estimate. So you have to round 689 up to 700 and 226 down to 200, giving you, and then you add your rounded answers, which gives you about 900 stamps. Notice I label it 900 stamps. Okay, number 24, I can't see so on the video, but on your book it says, Corinne bought a glass of lemonade for 59 cents and a pretzel for 39 cents. Is $1 enough to pay for both items? Well, if we round both of these up, this is where the first time we're getting into safe rounding. If I round money up to make sure I have enough money, 60 cents and 40 cents is $1. Round 59 cents to 60. 60 cents plus 39 cents to 40 cents, that equals $1. So $1 should be enough to pay for both items, yes. All right, let's get into more examples of safe rounding. Turn the page. And let's look at jump over to number 27 right now. Number 27, you need to decide whether you need to do safe rounding or estimated rounding. What is safe rounding? Safe rounding means I need to make sure I have enough. Like the money problem we did on 24, if I have to see if I have enough money, if I round up, all right, so if I've got to round, if I need to do safe rounding, that means round up, even if the numbers say to stay down. That makes sure that I'm estimating high to make sure I have enough to cover. Okay, ordinary estimating just means I round up or down, whichever it calls for. Okay, let's look at 27 and decide whether we need to do safe or ordinary estimating on 27. Mrs. Jackson is catching a plane to Chicago. The last time she traveled, it took her 32 minutes to drive to the airport and another 21 minutes to park and get to the gate for check-in. How much total time should Mrs. Jackson allow herself to get from home to the check-in gate? Now, this is about enough time to get to catch a plane. So she doesn't want to be late because if something happens, she's late, she'll miss her plane. So in this case, we want to do safe estimating, okay? It's a good idea. If the last time she traveled took 32 minutes, if you round up to 40 minutes, that's a safe estimate. Rounding 32 minutes to 40 minutes, again, is a safe round. We're rounding up, even though you typically round 32 minutes to 30 minutes. We need to make sure we have plenty of time. So then we also take the 21 and round it up, safe rounding, to 30 minutes. Okay? 40 minutes plus 30 minutes equals 70 minutes. She should allow herself 70 minutes to safely get to the gate. That gives her more than enough time in case something goes wrong, car accident, traffic, etc. Okay? That's safe estimating. Rounding safely, which is rounding up, to make sure you have enough time. All right, let's look at number 28. This summer, Kurt read one book with 278 pages, another with 312 pages, and another with 104 pages. How many pages did Kurt read in all? Okay, this would be an example of doesn't matter. You're trying to get a ballpark number, so you would regularly estimate, which would be ordinary estimating, and you'd round the numbers regularly. Okay, so 278 would round up to 300, 104 would round down to 100, and 312 would round down to 300. Now we have simple math. 300 plus 300 plus 100 is 700 pages. Okay, that's a G, believe it or not. Okay, look at 29. Read the problem. Decide whether it's safe. Oh, by the way, we need to write safe on this line and ordinary on this line. All right, so 29. I'll read it. Read number 29 on your own. Tell me, write down whether it's safe for ordinary rounding, and then write down your answer. Pause your video and do that now. All right, 29. Mr. Richfield plans to buy 2 cars for his business this year. He has $30,000 in the bank. One car that he likes costs $14,935. The other one costs $13,295. About how much do the cars cost altogether? This one we would do safe rounding, making sure we have enough money in the bank. $14,935 would round to $15,000. And $13,295 would round to $14,000. By rounding safely, we decide we were able to tell easily if we have plenty of money or not. Add them together. We get $29,000. So we write that amount, $29,000. And does he have enough money in the bank? Yes. All right. Let's check it out now. It is time for you to work on your homework. Today's assignment, homework, and remembering 3-13. Do both pages. You'll be doing some rounding and deciding between safe and ordinary estimating on those problems. Okay, also remember, at this point, you should be done with IXL. This is not a new assignment. This is what you should be done with. You should be done with IXL A1, A2, and a 3 at this point. Make sure all 4 of these are done. You may get started on homework and remembering 3-13. Break them, break them, break them. Do your homework and break them, break them. Do your homework now. Break them, break them.